This is the S4 National 5 homework help video for Friday the 17th of June. The first question asks you to evaluate 68.23 plus 0.71 times 80. The main thing to remember in this one is to use BODMAS, so make sure you're using the correct operations in the correct order. Question 2a is multiplying fractions, so your first step is to make them improper fractions. Once you have them improper fractions, all you do is multiply the two numbers at the top and then the two numbers at the bottom. So you'll end up with two steps. Part B, algebraic fractions. Remember, in order to add fractions, you need the denominators to be the same. Therefore, a good start would be to multiply that by 3 and multiply that by x, so that your denominator is 3x squared. Remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to also do to the top. Question 3 asks you to rationalise the denominator. Now that means getting rid of the surd on the bottom of the fraction. In order to do that, you need to multiply the top and the bottom both by root 2. That is your first step. You can then simplify it to get your final answer. Question 4 is one that we've seen in various homeworks now and people still get it wrong, so you need to think carefully about it. You are using the equation y equals mx plus c. You want to rearrange this equation here into this form. Once you have that, then you need to clearly state that the gradient is equal to whatever m is, and the y-intercept is always going to be x equals 0, and then this coordinate here is going to be the value of c. Question 5 is changing the subject. Now in the first one you have x in brackets, so that means we want this equation written as x equals. So in order to do that, your first step is going to be to bring everything up to the same line. So we're going to multiply both sides by x minus 1. Once you've done that, you can then divide both sides by 2y. And then there's one final step before you get it in the form x equals. Follow the same process for b and c. Question 6 is factorising, which we've done quite a lot of recently. So your first one of the methods you can use is St Andrew's cross method. So you want two factors for 3x squared. So I'm going to try, remember it's trial and error, 3x and x. And then on the other side we want factors of 4. So again, I'm going to try 2 and 2. Now, that might not necessarily be correct, so you need to try it, make sure it's right, and then work out what it might be if that is incorrect. So remember, 3x times 2 is 6x, x times 2 is 2x, add them together, it has to equal minus 8. So you can already see that that's not going to work because we've got two positives. Okay, so we need it to equal negative 8x. Once you have that, you go across the way for your brackets. So you'll end up with two sets of brackets. The bottom one, difference of two squares. So in your brackets, you want the square root of 4x squared in your first bit, and then the square root of 36 in the second bit, and then what's your signs? Okay, your signs need to be different. Question 7 is your laws of indices. So for 7a, you need to think a to the power of n over m is equal to the mth root to the power of n. Okay. For b, you're going to also need to use that same law, but also take into account that a to the negative n is equal to 1 over a to the n. Okay, and use them to calculate the answers. Question 8, find the equation of the straight line. So your first step is to work out the gradient using your equation m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Once you have the answer for your gradient, you can then use that and pick either points a or b and substitute in all your values into this equation here. Once you have done that, you should rearrange it so that it is in the form something y plus something x equals something. Question 9 says a house costs 140,000. Okay. The value of the house increases each year by 4.1%, so that means we need to times it by 100. It's increasing, so we add 4.1, divide it by 100, and then put it to the power of n. And n is the number of years. Don't lose marks at the end for not putting it to 3 significant figures. The question specifically states that. Question 10 is calculating the angle. We know that arc length, okay, it comes from the circumference of the circle, but it is a fraction of the circle. So we take theta divided by 360 times pi d, okay? Now remember, the radius is equal to 25 centimetres. So you have to then work out what d would be, okay? Once you have that, you know what the arc length is, so you just need to rearrange it once you've substituted your values in to get your value for theta.